Good to see you. All righty. We ready to go then, Kara? We'll call
I think so.
the meeting to order. Do a quick roll call. I'm Michael O'Neill, chair of this board. Byron, you want to go next? Want to unmute? Byron,
John
just
Roger, sorry.
okay.
I'm doing this on my phone because I'm at a remote location and I'm having a little bit of issues trying to get my tech to work right.
Okay, thanks, John. John's our vice chair. Byron, do you want to introduce yourself? We'll need to unmute. Some technical issues there. You're unmuted, but we can't hear you, Byron. But just Byron Beerley, advisory board member. Stephanie?
Hi, Stephanie Bull, advisory board member.
Okay. We have Kara Snyder, city staff, and April Sparks on the meeting today. And we had an interested community member as well. Would you like to introduce yourself, Dr. G? No? Okay.
I'll also hop in. Riley
Oh, there you
Hanson,
go.
board member.
Oh, okay. I've not seen you there. Sorry, Riley. Sorry, I missed you. Yeah.
No worries.
Okay. Thanks, Riley. Visually. Reacting visually. Alrighty. Has everyone had a chance to see the minutes that Kara sent out from the August meeting? So I would entertain a motion to approve.
Michael, can you hear us?
Yeah, we can hear you guys. It's just kind of faint since it seems the microphone is so far away.
Okay, thank you. This any better?
A little better.
Okay.
Is the microphone?
Can you zoom in somehow?
It is, yeah, I'm not sure. what's-
Can you hear me?
We can hear you now.
I heard that, yeah.
Okay, well, I can just sit over here, I guess. Closer.
Hi, Byron.
Hi there. Nice to hear your voice.
Okay, there we go. That's much better. All right, we'll move on to the minutes, the August 10th meeting minutes. We'd entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
So moved. This is Byron.
All righty, we have a second.
Second,
All right, seconded. And I'm sorry, was that Riley?
correct.
Yeah, thanks, Riley. And all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, the same? All righty. Very good. Thanks, everybody. Regular items on our agenda today. We're going to start with an update on the City Commission process for adopting program guidelines and application processes. I would imagine Kara and John will have updates on that.
Yeah. So I just wanted to tell you all just a little bit about how the meeting went, and thank John for being there in person. It was a bit of an interesting meeting because there was a closed session like right at the beginning, so we got kicked out of the room for a little bit. But the presentation itself, I think was pretty well received, and there weren't, because there's a few follow-up questions, but most of them were actually answered within the documents themselves. And then the commission just had some questions on kind of like how much maybe would be a good amount to fund this fund in the future, and trying to think of the other questions. Can you remember any of the other questions, John, offhand?
They did speak a little bit about wanting to make sure they understood where the funding, where the money was coming from, how this pot was being fed. So I think a couple of them, maybe in particularly the newest member who was, sworn in a day ago, basically, wanting to make sure that he understood how the funding mechanism worked, not from us or from the pool of money going out, but more from, where did this $2 million come from that we have to work with right now, or whatever our current budget number is.
Mhm.
So, yeah, people were able to do a pretty good job. Kara did a great job of walking everybody through our work and our intended work. So, yeah, I thought it went pretty smooth.
Yeah, yeah, thanks, John. And I kind of set myself up to potentially go back on the 21st, but there weren't really any questions that they had that seemed substantial enough that an additional administrative meeting was necessary. So we're lined up right now to go back to the regular commission on September 26th, and they'll actually adopt the documents at that point. And so there's, I guess, nothing in my mind or Chris's, our directors, that point to anything otherwise. So we're on track right now for that adoption on the 26th, and then releasing that first round of funding information shortly thereafter. And so what we're thinking right now is just kind of trying to flood the community with information as soon after as we can, and then continuing on with that application deadline of November 17th. So I just wanted to give you all just a little bit of an update there, and then see if you had any questions moving forward. I think that's all I had on the commission process.
Well, excellent. Good to hear the fruit of things moving forward. Appreciate you guys representing. So we're not sure, we send you guys off and get kicked out of the first meeting from the advisory board. We'll see if we can keep that string up.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you.
What is the dollar amount that they've approved?
So they're going to officially say something. You mean to be released? Is that what you're?
Well, but we have to work with to help projects with.
So what we recommended was holding $100,000 in reserve moving forward. And so that would mean we have, I think it would be just over $2 million to be released for funding.
Okay. Very good. Any additional questions regarding the city commission interaction? No? All righty. Well, again, thank you very much. It's nice that things are moving along. And then item B on our regular items today is a review of the underwriting review memo template document that we've received from NaveWorks Montana. Are you going to bring that up, Kara?
Yeah, can you see that document?
I think we will momentarily. It says it started screen sharing, so I expect that to be here, pop up shortly. There we go.
Oh, you got it?
Well, no.
Yeah, it says it started screen sharing, but nothing's coming up.
Yeah.
Kara, is that on the shared drive? That something that I could share possibly?
It is. Yep. Let me try one more time. It just unfroze for me.
And I have it up.
There you go.
There we go. Perfect,
Perfect.
perfect.
So this is what kind of our second draft that we've been kicking around with NeighborWorks Montana. And I think I sent this out with the agenda last week. So I hope you all have had a chance to just kind of quickly look it over. But this is a very pared down version of what they do for their own loan board, or their, I guess I'm not sure what exactly it's called,
Called the Rita Committee.
RETA committee. So this is a very pared down version of that that they're going to do for each of our applications. And hopefully this will give us a little bit better, a little more comfort with that financial side of some of these applications, especially those real big, kind of complex ones. So they have it broken down here, just like some basic information. So what kind of project it is, number of units, total project size, and then the amount of trust funds requested, and then what that equates to per unit. And then kind of some of these other items that we have listed out in our guidelines, like the targeted beneficiaries, the proposed completion date, and then what all of that equates to in a period of affordability, or what will be assigned to it years wise for a period of affordability. And then one of the things we did ask them to add in here, here at the end, is just kind of a general strengths and weaknesses of the application. And then actually, I think this market needs and demand for the project is a section that we requested as well. So they'll do a little bit of their own research as far as what the market need is, and the applicant experience and capacity. And then, let's see. Just a little bit of kind of information on the applicant's other funding sources, and they'll also be able to give us an idea if there's a funding mechanism out there that maybe would be appropriate to this project, and that applicant doesn't have it listed as any of their other sources of money for the project. Then they might kind of highlight that and say like, hey, there's this other source of funding out there that maybe could be included here, could be pursued. Let's see some of the projections for financials, and then just a little bit more about what's actually being requested in terms of the loan. So I don't know if you guys want to, if you have any questions, or if there's anything you feel is missing. It certainly isn't in stone yet. We don't have an agreement with NeighborWorks yet for this part of the work. So really hoping to get your guys' feedback and go from there.
Any comments or questions on the draft template? I would just make a comment. I like what we have. I think you could, in terms of those other funding sources, I think that's a good idea to, that we'd be looking probably for, you got tax credit listed, you have, home, CDBG, Affordable Housing Trust Fund, that federal program administered by the state, all of which could apply. So I think that's it. I think you're asking the right questions. My only feedback is that I think we might need to have a slightly different template for single family, particularly like home buyer assistance type projects that might be more individually, whether it involves subsidizing construction or subsidizing just purchase or subsidizing both ends of the equation. And there's slightly different, it looks slightly different. This what we have here is primarily a rental kind of pro forma analysis. It doesn't completely carry over to kind of a home, say like a home buyer assistance deal. I'll see if I have an example and I can send to you.
Yeah, that'd be great, Michael. And one of our last conversation, we were just saying that, well, I guess a couple things. So one, they're more than willing to send a representative to at least probably any meeting that we request them to, but especially this first during this first project cycle, if they kind of volunteered to present this information and then be available to ask some for you guys to ask some very specific financial questions, kind of as a part of our learning process, and then moving forward just to see if that's something that would be necessary, and maybe even just during the application review meetings. And then the other item that they brought up is just kind of a reminder that this is certainly a draft, and that they acknowledged that, you know, it's this first round will be very telling and what is necessary. And I think a lot of what they said was similar to what we've all talked about as far as, you know, we don't know what is going to come up and what we might need. And they're happy to make edits on this. Even if this is exactly what we use for round one, it may not be exactly what we use moving forward. So I think they'll be really good to work with and really flexible.
Okay. Okay, other comments, questions regarding how this information will come across? And one thing that they do on their RETA analysis, which is useful, they give a risk rating. Did you talk about that at all, Tara, with them? Did that come up?
We did, yep. And kind of what we decided, our own assessment form that we're using is pretty similar to how that kind of matrix that they utilized to come up with their risk rating number. And we did talk about maybe bulking that up a little bit to reflect maybe more kind of the financial stuff that they would be asking or using, but this is kind of what we came up with instead, in doing this kind of strengths and weaknesses section, and then leaning on our own assessment form to kind of come up with that. I don't know if you want to call it a risk rating, but kind of a way to rate the different projects in comparison with each other. So I guess maybe to answer your question, no, we didn't decide to go down the risk rating route with NeighborWorks.
Okay. And risk rating, I mean, what they do is in making a loan. This is, but it's a similar kind of, and you know, you get that in terms of project strengths and weaknesses that they'll talk about. And maybe we need to be a little more. I think in applicant experience and capacity, I think it's understood that, you know, one would be experience with similar projects, but then their financial capacity and staffing capacity, things like that would be included. And then I like the strengths and weaknesses section, because then they kind of can broadly comment on what your review found.
I think it has most of what we would need on it. I'm sure there'll be, you know, maybe attachments that will go more into cash flow and different things on a rental unit. But Michael, you're right. If it's going to be used on a single house, there would have, you know, probably be more debt to income and more information on the individual borrower and affordability. But this is good, I think, for rental property.
Yeah, again, I would just, my only request would be that we would include, make a distinction between rental and home ownership, single family type activity. And under the single family, we would have kind of the budget information would be slightly different for a development home ownership project versus a home buyer assistance project, or in some cases where you see fairly common around the country that both sides of the equation are subsidized, both the construction and then the purchase is subsidized as well. So, and you might look on the Housing Montana website, the home program has a housing development manual and a home. They don't have the home buyer assistance manual online yet, but they do have budget templates and things like that. We have included in our other materials, say the project implementation schedule for all projects, correct? Just off the top of my head, I think we have that, correct?
Yep, that's a requirement for any applicant.
And we asked about status things like environmental review and site control and zoning and all that. So,
Mhm.
okay. And it's really not, NeighborWorks is really looking at the doing the financial analysis of it. So good. All right. Do we have any additional comments? Do others see a need to have kind of a slightly different bit of information for the home ownership, single family side of things?
Yes, I think you need that as a little different analysis for sure.
Do you think it's possible that the analysis that might be provided? I'm just thinking of a potential application that, I mean, we're not going to be seeing individual people's financials necessarily. I think we're going to be seeing the applicant providing in this section here, being able to provide that demand for their project. And so I don't know if that might perhaps make this form more useful for the single family or.
Yeah, no, I think those applicant experience and market needs and demand for the project apply to all projects. What I'm saying is that what you would do, and we have a question as well. Dr. G will come to you in 1 second. We would also, it's just a type of information, budget information is different on a home buyer project than it is on a rental project. This is basically kind of a sources and a sources question statement for rental development versus single family development will look different, as would home buyer assistance. So, I mean, they could kind of make it work, and so that we'd have a kind of an apples to apples. But I think on the first part, they would say, they'd recommend what they expect the total project size would be. Say they're asking for $500,000 to do home buyer assistance, or 250, whatever they're asking for, and they would be able to say how much of that's coming from the Affordable Housing Trust Fund and how much per unit they would be limiting. It might be a limit of $20,000, so we'd be able to see, is it a good addition. They may, in that they might also be able to include. I guess I can make this work. what gets missing is that in the home buyer assistance, you were also leveraging a lot of private financing, so that, you know, we won't know the first mortgage amounts that will be leveraged, but we'll be able, that they, you know, I could see a project for home buyer assistance saying that they would be utilizing, say, home buyer assistance dollars through NeighborWorks Montana, actually, at the program of theirs, in addition to be matched with the AHTF funds, but it's not as clear. And you might, NeighborWorks Montana should be able to, if you kind of say, should we have a different section that would highlight kind of information that's more applicable to home buyer assistance and more applicable to single family development, and just what, because we may see projects that are similar, you know, that would be that. The other, they would also have a lot of this would probably work all right for like helping purchase a manufactured housing community, resident-owned community, or something like that too. But again, they would have a lot of knowledge of how that information should be presented for careful thing. And so it would be kind of, you know, is your project a multifamily rental development? Then you'd fill out this section. If it's a home buyer system, you fill out this section. If you're doing single family housing development for purchase, you would do this section of, you know, so on and so forth. It just would be slightly, the presentation of the information is slightly different. Okay. We have a question from Dr. Gregory Thomas. His question is, under applicant experience, will the board request copies of HUD statements to prove completion of previous similar projects? I think what we'll need there, and speaking on just what we will know, is that they will list their experience completing similar projects, and then we would be able to verify. We might ask questions if it's not something, projects that we are aware of, or if it's not an entity we're aware of. Dr. Thomas said we would have to seek additional information. We wouldn't take it on the word of the applicant. Most of these, you know, we would expect a lot of these applicants, or most of these applicants, be known entities, and that when they're listing their projects, whether they're locally done or if they're around the state of Montana, that we'd be familiar with them to a certain degree, or that we could verify their success and through other means, like say talking to the Montana Housing. Most rental projects, if they would be talking about affordable housing, they'd be talking about projects that were completed through some of the programs at the Montana Board of Housing, or the Montana Housing programs like HOME and CDBG. HUD wouldn't necessarily be able to give statements as to a completion of previous similar projects, but we'd be able to verify the projects are up and running and successful. I think the other thing we would be doing related to Dr. Thomas's question is just do the Barman check, which is kind of a just something can quickly be done related to federal funding. And again, if we would know that if they're a known entity to us, if anyone, I'm not aware of any known affordable housing team or organization in the state of Montana that has been debarred, but that you do get developers who from time to time are debarred. Anything to add on that, folks? What we'd want? Or Kara?
I don't think I have anything. I'll be meeting with NeighborWorks next Friday, so I can ask them a little bit more about maybe adjusting this for a single family project, or what their thoughts are there. But I think that's it for me.
Okay. Dr. Thomas, do you have any additional question, or did that answer your question?
Nope, that was it for now. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you for joining us. Alrighty. Anything else on the memo The underwriting template?
Well, just looking at it a little more, I see a lot in there. The financing breaks out the sources of the financing and goes into the experience and then repayment ability and stuff, but where it's got the total project size, but the uses of the funding, I guess, so just, will there be a breakdown of that on another, how it costs project if they've got a additional funds, if there's overruns or?
And Byron, that'll actually be provided. The applicant will submit that separately. So
Okay.
we'll be able to kind of look at this and then look at that sources and uses statement side by side.
That's what I thought, this is more of a
Mhm.
summary sheets.
Yep, correct.
Okay.
Okay. Any additional questions, comments? All right. I think we all have, this is our opportunity then to move on to public comment. Would invite public comment at this time. Dr. Thomas, as representing our broader public, do you have any additional comments you'd like to make at this time?
No, thank you.
Alrighty. Thank you for participating in this process. I appreciate it. Alrighty. Next up, any communications from the members of the board or proposals for our next agenda that you would like to see? Particularly in advance of it will start getting real, we'll be releasing the proposal and or the application process will be open. So my thoughts for the next meeting is some discussion, Kara, of you'd help us think through kind of the process of we would take in terms of doing the actual reviews. We maybe look at our calendars next meeting and we won't, I think it would be wise just to prepare for a larger, we won't know until we see how many applications there are, how much time we'll need, but that we would we'd be asking for people to be prepared to identify some times. I think we previously talked about that we might meet over 2 days. We'd try to meet on this kind of 2 o'clock time frame and maybe just go longer, like 2 to 5 or something if necessary on 2 separate days, depending on the workload that's presented to us. We would also be expecting, the board members to have reviewed the materials in advance of the meeting so that we can move through that process. But Kara, if you would, kind of help us kind of think through what the structure of the actual review will go and how we'll conduct that.
Sure. Yep, that sounds like a
All right.
great idea.
We have other needs for the next month's agenda. Okay. Alrighty, and I'm sure you'll have some other things for us, Kara. Right, any meetings of interest or announcements at this time from board members or from you, Kara?
I don't think so. One of the items I may add on to the next agenda is just maybe a brief summary of what's happening with the governor's housing task force. I don't know if I just, as it's housing related, may end up affecting funding for some of the organizations here in town. I don't know if it's probably too early to really, I guess, even say that, but I'm working on a summary for a different meeting and would be happy to share that. I think I'll have that ready by our next meeting as well. So that's the only other.
Nothing will be known there, of course, until it moves forward. It'll be important to see what comes out as official recommendations. I think that will have some weight.
Mhm.
And so things that I've been tracking in that regard is there seems to be, there are two things that really come forward is that there's some one-time opportunity. The state has a very large budget surplus, which is primarily due to federal funding they've received. And that's, there is we have an existing what's called Montana Housing Fund was created in 1999, never really ever funded. And there's some efforts to try to do some one-time funding out of this extremely large surplus we have at this time that was COVID related, and certainly some of the housing, although the affordable housing problems have been long-standing, that the COVID era has really pushed it in the rapid increases on both cost of rentals and cost of home ownership has really made it a pressing need right now. So that might have some legs under it. Kind of a longer term solution on the rental development side that I've been involved in for a long time is the development of a state low income housing tax credit program that would kind of parallel the federal program, would be able to help the state draw down additional federal tax credits by matching what's called the 4% program. And that seems to have some support moving forward. I'm Montana Housing Coalition. I'm coordinating with the University of Montana Bureau of Business Economic Research, an economic impact study they're undertaking to study what would be the economic impact of a state affordable housing income, affordable housing tax credit that would match some state tax credits to the federal program. And so we anticipate to have that study out by the end of November, in time before the legislature comes to town. And so that's be an interesting thing. The meetings are lot going on, so it'll be interesting to see what comes of it. So we continue to monitor just different proposals every day, or things coming down from HUD in terms of additional vouchers and things that might be able to be utilized that could support, project basing some projects to help with rental assistance, and the challenges that we're facing in terms of what's called the fair market rents have been released for the year, and there's some issues there in terms of whether they're really representative of the market conditions in our area. But we have seen an increase for the first time in a couple of years in the fair market rents, and those are the fundamental number which are used for establishing what are called the payment standards in the various voucher programs and in the project-based assistance programs. All right, any other meetings? Of course, the meeting of interest, everyone's invited if they would like. I'll be assisting Kara at the September 26th City Commission meeting for the final passage of our work here as a committee. So would welcome all board members to attend if they have time and are interested in attending. And so Kara, will you send out just the agenda of that meeting when that's available, and just point out where we are, a rough idea when we should show up. I'll try to get over there right at 6 just to and the city commission is still just Zooming, correct?
So you can come in person, or you can come
Okay.
just virtually. It's up to you.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll just say anyone is welcome to join, but certainly don't feel like you need to. But yeah, happy to have you there, Michael. I know that was really nice having John there on was that just last week now? Like time is flying by, but yeah, that was really nice to have John there.
And again, it's also provides an opportunity to appreciate all your time and expertise you're sharing on this initiative. So thank you, everybody, for all you've contributed to this process. Any other announcements? No? All righty, I would welcome, at this point, we can adjourn the meeting then. We can get a little of our time back to ourselves to be productive the rest of the day. Thanks, everybody.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Have a good week, you
Bye-bye.
guys.
Bye, all.